Going to go ahead and get started, folks. So thank you all for coming to the Alignable Microsoft Productivity Power Hour for the month of July. Go ahead and jump in here. Just a friendly reminder that all meetings are recorded and posted on the community YouTube channel, as well as our YouTube channel. So the one that Will McBurrow, who is the founder of the Technology Partners Smart Connect community, that community channel, you'll be the video will be posted there. So if you don't wish to be recorded, you can get off of mute. Get on mute and stay off camera or disengage and then watch the recording later. All right. Just to give you not really an update, but an overview on what we cover every month. We talk about Microsoft Office 365 and the components therein, whether it's OneDrive for Business, SharePoint, Teams, Office, Microsoft Forms, and then even some ancillary or related technology that's also Microsoft, like Power Platform, which consists of like Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and then also part of the Office suite, Microsoft Office 365, is Copilot, so Microsoft's AI. Some of the things that you'll be looking for in these sessions, they'll be guided towards the end user, so people who use these tools every day or could use these tools every day, the business user, and then we'll also have some citizen developer sessions. We've already had a few of them on Power Apps, and we will have a few more as well. This is a session where it's interactive, so if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the window. I'll also talk about that later, but there'll be demo and Q&A. And we have this every month on all of these topics. And if you have any topics you would like to request, anything that you've been looking to hear about in the Microsoft Office 365 suite, or maybe some related technology, please let us know. So here are your speakers, your co-speaker and co-host, and I, Harry, and I are your hosts and speakers for today. And every month, basically, that we have this thing. And you can see our street cred on this slide. As I was saying earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat window before you forget your question. That way you can get your question out there. We'll be monitoring the chat. One or the other one of us will be monitoring the chat. So the question will be answered. And if we can't get to your question before we end, you can feel free to leave us your email address and we'll make sure your question is answered. Now, I always have to give this disclaimer because this is cloud technology that we're talking about. So it can change at any time, whether it's Microsoft Cloud or any other cloud, Amazon, Google, it doesn't matter. They make changes, and at those times, our presentation, basically our slides, or the current portal may be a little bit different than what we're used to. So please excuse any inconsistencies if you see or note any. All right, so for today's agenda, we're going to get deeper into Microsoft's AI. So last month, we talked about the different types of Copilot. We talked about the Copilot journey that you should go on before you actually turn on the licenses. We gave you some things to consider, and then we actually started looking at Copilot, starting with Copilot Chat, and then we use Copilot to create a Word document and a PowerPoint presentation. Now we're going to start off with a quick reminder, a few things that we learned the last time. Well, not last week, last month. A few things that we learned the last time, and then we're going to dive a bit deeper into training your Copilot to be able to do things like prepare you for meetings. There's some training that you should do to make it be optimal for expressing your voice and everything that is about you in the email or the communications that you're using. So today we're going to start talking about training your Copilot to know you, your team, and your company. But again, before that, a quick refresher. Remember, there are different types of Microsoft Copilot across the different types of Microsoft software. Most people are looking for the chat or the one that works with Office. And that one is actually your, let me put my laser pointer on. That one is actually your M365 Copilot. That's the one that you're looking for. Other people are looking for Copilot that helps them transcribe meetings and take notes and things like that in Teams. Then you're looking for Copilot that's actually called Teams Premium. It's not actually called Copilot, it's called Teams Premium. So those are some of the ones that most people are looking for when it comes to Copilot. But as you can see, there's lots of different Copilots that do different things across the Microsoft suite. Now, as I was saying before, Copilot should be, when you're getting onto Copilot, it should be a journey. You should really try not to just get the licenses and just run with it. There are certain things that you really should set up to make sure that Copilot is going to not pull data that it shouldn't be pulling. Data is completely secure, so anything that shouldn't be in the hands of other people, they cannot just ask the Copilot agent to give it to them and it gives it to them. You want it to be compliant, so also making sure things are, the data is smooth, but you also want it to be clean and not have a bunch of garbage. So when somebody asks a question, it gives them a bunch of garbage back. So you want to make sure your data is also clean. So there's a few different steps, around 7-ish steps. One of those steps is kind of optional, and that's the employee experience step. All the rest of the steps you really should go through and make sure that they're being done before you deploy Copilot. There's a link to a blog for each of these options or each of these steps, as well as an overarching blog that we did. So if you're interested in that, you need the deck from either last month or this month, and you'll see how to get that at the end of this presentation. Now, there's a few things to note before you, go through as you're going through the journey for Copilot. Remember, don't just turn it on. Understand the business case so you get the right Copilot that you need instead of buying perhaps the wrong one. Make sure you understand the licensing, assess and set up properly. Make sure that you are curbing your enthusiasm because AI is a newish technology. So some things are still improving. So there's a lot of goodness, but there are still some things that you might be like, that could be a little bit better. But also remember, don't sell yourself short or anybody on your team short by not offering training, having adoption techniques so that people learned about Copilot, learn how to use it properly, and so they'll actually use it. So there's some resources as well on this slide that you can get when you get this slide deck. All right. So without further ado, we're about to go into demo time. Harry is going to take over the screen and he is going to be the one to do the demo today.
All right. Thank you very much, Nikkia. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. One thing that we have learned a lot about is that a lot of people go to Copilot. They help you with things like writing a report, giving a quick speech, maybe a quick presentation, things of this nature. You may even go to and ask certain questions here and there. But how does it actually help you with your business? How does it help you on your business and not in your business? One thing that we have to learn to do is change the way we think about using Copilot in the first place. So Copilot or AI itself, it doesn't think for itself, right? It does not have an original thought. Everything that Copilot has is what you teach it, is what you show it, right? So the best way, way to actually leverage Copilot is to actually build yourself into Copilot. For instance, you have an organization, you have a company, you want to know whether your company and what you do has some synergy with another company. So how do you do that? First of all, you need to train your Copilot in the first place, right? And the way I do it is, for instance, I have a LinkedIn page, right? On my LinkedIn page, I have resources and a profile that I created myself. So if I save that profile, right, and then I come back to Copilot, right, downloads, and I take that profile and drop it in there, right? Now the key word to that is analyze. That is a word you're going to hear me say a lot today. Analyze. Now what Copilot is doing now is analyzing my entire profile that I have in LinkedIn. So now it's getting a basic understanding of what my history is, what is it that I do, and everything of that nature. My education, it gives me my executive summary, everything like that, career highlights, all those things like that. But then I go a little further. I do something like take my NCT Tech, NCC Consultant. If I could type today, I'm typing all wrong. If I could type right, NTC Consultant. Yeah, some reason my keyboard is sticking. And let me just pull it out the chat.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Okay, come on, Teams.
Yours sticking too?
No, just Teams is being a little slow.
Okay.
Okay.
I have something going on.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
All right. Sorry about that. I really need to get my laptop clean. Or my okay, so without further ado, let's continue. So now I'm just going to use Control V, and I'm going to put NCT Tech Consultant in there. And then I'm going to do again. I'm going to tell it to analyze. Now what it's doing now is pulling all the information I have from my website, everything that we do as a company, into one profile. And as you see, we have the website overview, internal highlights about the company, company profiles, positions, what we actually do. Everything here has been summarized and created. Then, not only do I do that, but I also, if you write blogs, if you put any type of information out about yourself online. For instance, I wrote a blog, and I'll take that blog and I'm just going to drop it right in here. So add, Control V. Okay. All right. Copy. Control B. So I just stuck a blog in here. This blog is called, all right, 5 keys benefits of Power App boosting agility and cutting costs. So this is a blog that I wrote. So I'm sticking it in as my profile. So now that you add that in, any information about yourself, the more you put in it, the more well-rounded this will be. It even comes to personality, right? So whenever someone asks a question, right, that you want to send a message back, you want that message to have your personality. You want, if the personality of what this person is doing matches what you do, you want that to be identified. So for instance, what type of books do you like to read? What like the information, what type of learning materials you like to deal with? So for instance, I have my Alignable collection. So in my Alignable collection, I have the Successful Principles, the 10 annual editions. I mean, yeah, Audible. So in this, I like this author. So since I like this author, I take that title, I copy it. Now I say, put that in. And then the next thing I tell it to do is analyze. Follow the right steps. Yes. That's my mouse sticking so bad today. It's like everything. ANAL. There you go. All right. So then I asked it to analyze it. Now, this is just one book. When I did mine, I add 10 different books. Once I added those 10 different books, I created a profile. And at the end of this, I asked it, create a profile called me. Now, what is it doing? It's analyzing. It's getting all the information that I have put in there about me, and it's about to create a profile based on me, and then it will save that profile. Now I have another profile here. So now that I have this, I come over here, I change the name, rename it. I'm gonna rename it me. Just simple. Now, let's start a new chat. Uh, there we go. So let's go to LinkedIn. And this is hypothetical. Let's look for just any person. I look this person up. I come to more. I save that profile. Now, once I take that profile and drop it in, I'm going to ask it to analyze this profile. And once it analyzes, the next question would be, is there synergy with me? So make sure that profile, me, or my business opportunities. Now it's comparing that person's profile to my profile. So now, why there's synergy alignment, local financial expertise in Ghana, your strategy focus on Ghana, complementary strengths, your leadership and African strategy, innovation combined with business climate to strategic financial planning. So basically, it breaks potential business opportunities. Now, the next thing would be, because it's doing that comparison, all right, then tell me from 1 to 100, what is the likelihood for a sale? Comparing profiles, 65 to 75 out of 100. Factor supporting over high likelihood. Strategy, local expertise, complementary strength, factors that many lower the probabilities. Factors that may lower the probabilities, unknown current role scopes, no prior engagement. But there's a 65% chance to 75% chance that we have something to talk about. So the next thing would be, what should I talk to him about? Central common ground. Start with shared contents, and then now based on their profile, it's talking about what is Barkley Ghana and his award-winning consulting background. Mention my role, which is my role as Director of African Strategy and Innovation. Exploring synergies, strategic collaboration and opportunities. Learning from his expertise, and all this information is being pulled from his profile. And by comparing it to our profile, it's giving us a baseline on what is it that we can actually do with this. Even from there, what events do he attend? Because maybe we don't get to talk to him directly on LinkedIn. Maybe he haven't answered back. So where do he attend certain events? Maybe I can beat him there one day. So is it possible he attends certain events? So he don't have no speeches, but he has strong relations with and roles in particular places where so I can go there and find it. So that is a help. Then I want to know, if I do talk to him, I want to talk to him about what would it look like after he do business with me. What would the future state be? So the next thing, based on the synergy built and future state for these organizations, use what do we do? And as you see, it gives me a future state vision on Barclays Linux African innovation on what their system would look like if they did business with me. Now, when I approach this person, when I want to speak to or reach out to them, my next thing is create me an email and a link and post. Now I have an email that I could send out to this gentleman that's already designed. Of course, you will have to do a read over, but it's there based already on my personality, based on my profile, the way I speak about things, because it built a characteristic from based on the blogs that I put in. It's based on um, the books I read. It's based on the things I've done in my past history. Now it can write me an email, and it's pretty much gonna be close. But of course, I would expect people to read over the email before you send it, because sometimes things can be very futuristic, as well as a LinkedIn post. I see a hand up.
Yeah, that's just me. So there was a question in the, or not really a question, kind of a back and forth discussion going on about this is like ChatGPT. Yes, it's like ChatGPT. As Chris is also saying, it's based on the OpenAI model, but because of Microsoft's Office 365 that it's built to be a part of, it can actually go into your work files as well. So it can even get deeper into learning about you, because now it's in, if you notice the tabs on the top of the screen, there's work and web at the very top. Yeah, up there. So it can talk to just the web, but if you have the license that, like we were talking about earlier, the Microsoft Office 365 um, Copilot license, then you get this version that can also reach into your work files and pull that also into your profile. So it can use all of that data plus previous emails that you might have gotten from this person. It can just get a whole bunch of stuff, and then pull that, all that goodness in to your responses to whatever that you're writing or whatever you're trying to figure out about this person.
Thank you. All right. So definitely, and based on reaching out to that person, you have your LinkedIn post, you have your synergy, you have your understanding on where your next steps would be with this client, or that client, is, you don't qualify them, because many times you have people that you cannot pre-qualify beforehand. So this allows you to actually help pre-qualify. Is there any synergy? What do we talk about in these meetings? So that we don't have to do the dance around the bush. How's the weather in California? It's great. You know what I mean? This, that, and the other. What do you do? What do I do? If you already know what is there, what is, where's our connection? And you go from there. So with that said, my first would understand is build your profile in your tenant. Once you build your profile, then you start training it, and everything you do from then on, if you write blogs, if you actually do a speech, if you do a podcast, add it into your profile, because the more you do that, it becomes better well-rounded on what you do and who you are. And it gets to the point where as though it will be able to answer certain questions for you, and then you can automate some processes. And then the art of the possibility becomes more enacted, because now you're thinking about more ways to use it. I see a hand up, Becky.
Yeah, hi, Harry. I really loved what you were just saying. I'm a professional and technical writer, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I do for people is I write their LinkedIn profiles. And my brother-in-law is a systems analyst, and he kids around. And he says I'm like AI with a voice. So I'm very good at analyzing people's stuff and putting in the information that needs to be found for people to get hired. either
Mm-hmm.
through companies or, for jobs. And AI does quite a bit, but there's certain things that human beings think and certain levels of critical thinking that are not there. And I can help with that. And this is being recorded. I don't mean to sound like an advertisement, but if anyone does need help, I can certainly help them. If it's okay, I'll put my website in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. We definitely believe humans are a part of the chain.
Yes.
Where there is modernization, humans still need to be a part of the chain. To not only review what the machine is doing, but also because the machine cannot be the human, like you said. The machine
Yes.
needs to be the helper, the co-pilot,
That's
if
why
you
it's
will.
called Copilot, not pilot.
Mhm.
So it's there to help you understand, help you to get things done a little quicker, because you still have to put your own sauce to it, your own specialty to it. But it cleans out a lot of the mess you have to go through to just add your special sauce to it. If it could save you just an hour or two per day, what can that add up to in a month versus a year versus 10 years? How much things can get done for you in that mean time? Then, once you start adding things like your workflows to it, then you can have Copilot do things like at the end of its analyzing everything, email on cue, send that email out on cue, notify people on cue. I see your hands is up, Chris.
Sorry, yes. Happy to be here, learning lots. I guess my question is, and AI is moving so fast, and they're putting interfaces over top of ChatGPT. Every time you go into there's so many websites that it's just simply tapping into OpenAI as a
Right.
back-end service. When I put all this in, if I were to start using this way, the work tab, and I start putting everything about me into it, is there also perhaps a AI agent that could be used, and I could put the agent up on my own personal website to be my ambassador for me? Is that one of the reasons for this? And if
Yes.
I didn't get that sophisticated, would having all this information in here simply be me, instead of me going through and doing regular confederated searches, I just go into the chat window and say, when was the last time I wrote this email to this person? Is that what that's for?
Yes.
That type of stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
And many, many more. The biggest problem that we're having with AI is that people are not thinking of the art of the possibility. And you just sat there, looked at what we just did, and thought of two different possibilities to actually use this AI. And that is what we're trying to do. Rev that art of the possibility, because it's more than just doing the paperwork. How can it actually help us get things done? How can we put it in the agent to put it up front to save us time, that we spend more, we have a work-life balance. So that's what the whole goal is, to be able to do these things. So yes, that's the goal.
Yeah, and let me just caveat, just so that licensing wise, if your agent has to be external facing, then that's a different license than the M365 Copilot license.
Mm-hmm.
That one's the Copilot Studio license, which is a different license. On this side, this Copilot helps you with your work. Whereas though if you needed to do an agent that faces the external community, then you want to use Copilot Studio for that.
Yeah,
but it can still pull things from. Yes.
Another thought I had, because I'm starting to work on N8N automation. I don't know if you're familiar with that. There's a lot out there. Is that what you could do is, if for this use case around finding whether or not you have compatibility or a potential customer with a LinkedIn person, is you could use the innate automation to, you could just enter in manually that person's LinkedIn ID, create an automation to go out, fetch, do a comparison, and then send you an email as a report. And so instead of doing it that manually, you actually have some automations from other technologies running for you. I guess where I'm trying to understand about the LinkedIn piece is, why would you think that you're connected to them somehow, or you've seen them? Is the idea is to just, like, how do you narrow the search so that you're going to do a comparison with two people on LinkedIn? Because it sounds like it's kind of like we're trying to do the same thing as that Alignable is doing. In this example.
Here's a good example, Alignable. When you go to these Alignable meetings, right? You meet 7 people. You get a quick understanding of who they are. Some of them may not be compatible for what you do, right? So what you end up doing is doing your pre-hand research on these people before you either connect with them or reach out to them with a one-on-one, right? Now, if you get one and it says, hey, this is a total different field that you're in and there's really no synergy there, then that may be on the back burner. But then you see one that is a synergy, and then now you have all this information. And when you go to the meeting, maybe it's a synergy where though y'all should partner together and go at these things because he has a connection that you don't have, and that what he do complements what you do. Now y'all don't have to sit there and figure out what it is that y'all complement each other on. You already have it right in front and say, I see that you do this, I do that. We can do this. And you can actually run the report after that based on what we're saying we can do together. This is what it looks like in the marketplace. This is what we can charge. This is how many competitors we have. And this, so on and so on and so on. And then the rabbit hole opens because information is more vast than ever before. You can get information now faster than you can get ever before. So it's there. So now you just keep going with it. And it allows you to be able to cut that time in half where it's though, hey, now we got to figure out what is the marketing strategy. You could already build based on your synergy, based on his, you could build a marketing strategy. So there are a lot of things that, you could think outside the box of actually doing as you just keep going.
Thank you.
Yep. No problem. So with that said, I believe I can start wrapping up. I'm about at my time, correct, Nikki?
Actually, you're a little bit ahead of time, but we can go ahead and wrap up.
All right.
Unless there's more questions.
Any more questions?
Well, I just wanted to ask, you're currently using this right now. When you meet with people on Alignable, you've been comparing profiles and seeing who you can work with. How good of success have you had with it recently? Has it produced any additional work for you or good collaboration?
It has done great with collaboration. Because of the way Alignable is, you tend to get more through synergy. And when I'm able to say, okay, this person is with Legal Shield and I don't have any synergy because I already have Legal Shield, I save time on this meeting. Then I have this meeting where as though this person is pretty much doing the same thing I'm doing. And now we're business partners. And then we were business partners because that first initial conversation we had meant something. It was not a bunch of what do you do? What do we do? And then you get to that point where you feel like it's the same questions over and there's no real direction on where you're going. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was
I was
going
going to make a comment, but okay.
You're on mute.
Becky, if you had a follow-up, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted
Yeah.
to say that I've met with over 40 people since May 25th, like I said. And what I do is I go on their websites and I look at what they do and figure out, what I can do to help them based on their websites. And I find that that is really enough. I don't really have to go through their whole LinkedIn profile. So I'm wondering how this gives Harry an edge and how this is different than doing that.
Well, this is the edge that I've found that I've had when I've gone into conversations with, because time is a lot. You have a certain amount of time in a day. When I go into a meeting with someone that I already have a roadmap to what we're going to talk about, then I already have that advantage. I already know beforehand, is it going to be a sale or is this going to be a partnership? We don't have to do the dance through all that.
Right.
So
Well, that's what I
therefore,
do for myself when I do that.
Yeah. I think the advantage here, according to what Becky is saying, is the time saved. Once the AI knows you and understands, what you do, it can do that comparison for you within seconds, where it's going to take you minutes to half an hour to, and then you got to write stuff down too. The AI is going to write stuff for you. And then you can just say to it, hey, you forgot about this point. Can you give me some pointers on this point? Kind of to give it some guidance, which then later it will remember, especially if you do it a few times, it will remember and it'll automatically give it to you. So it is a big time saver in that, it takes you a little bit more time as a human to crunch that kind of data when the computer can just crunch it real quick, give it to you, and then you can do your review from there from a more concise, more already crunched up plan based on the things that it's learned about you already.
Yes, I do see where that can help. It's very analytical. I'd like the opportunity to work with this for free, just to be able to get to know it and see what I could do to help people with it. So if you're interested in doing something like that, maybe we could do another meeting, like another kind of offline meeting with me and you and Harry, and go over that. So I'd like to learn more about how this whole thing works and be able to help people. So anyway, thank you.
I just wanted to add, I just had two comments. Going back to automation, because I'm trying to, I think AI, if you can use traditional automation to use AI, there's a lot of power there. And one possible use case, Becky, and I'm going to look into it, and this is like a business idea for anyone who knows how to do automation, is you're in Alignable, you meet somebody for 7 minutes and you go, I think I want to see if maybe I do another meetup with them outside of Alignable. So you go into maybe your email and you send yourself an email with a keyword that says, research this person. And then the automation will read your email sent box and say, oh, you wanted to research this person. It goes out, does all the stuff that Harry has been showing us, and sends you back an email saying, this is your information. This is the information that you need, or this, and make a decision whether or not you want to set up a meeting with them. So that's just a use case there, because it does take time to do the copy paste. But if you automate, then all you're doing is you're quickly sending an email. It's like saying to your assistant, research this person for me. Should I get a meeting? It's like having an assistant, and it's an automation assistant. So that was just a quick thought. The second one is more of a question, I guess, is I know that there's websites where you actually do the training. You are training the AI. Like there's one that I went into and played around with called data annotation. So what they do is they show you two examples of an AI answer and two AI answers to a question. They say, which is the better AI answer? So you actually have to go out and do research to try to say, I liked option 1. That's the better AI answer. So in that respect, if you had that meeting that you set up with somebody with the stuff that, Harry, that you were showing us, how would you teach the AI that, no, the meeting didn't go well? I thought we had based on the research I got back from Copilot, we should have met. We met and there was nothing there. How do you, can you train Copilot to say, I had the meeting with this person, it didn't work out, please use this going forward for the next time you decide?
Yes.
Okay, so it will do that.
Yes, we have Copilot can read the transcripts from that meeting, and you could tell Copilot, I did not like this meeting. I hated this, that. I need you to change this. And then it would change it. I mean, it's been time it wrote stuff, and I said, no, that is not what I meant. You got it all wrong. Do it again. And then it come back and say, okay, is this properly what? Yes, I like this. I like the way you wrote that. Remember this. And then go to the next thing each time. And the more you talk to it, you train it, and you treat it as like you teaching a child. You know, yes, no, this is how I want it. Do it this way. Because I asked the first time I actually did it, I had it write me out of this world. You know, it was I said out of this world, really exciting paper on the use of automation in your organization. It wrote me a paper based on the enterprise and outer space and some other stuff. So I had to go back and say, no, that's not what I meant.
Hallucinated or something.
Yeah, so it definitely, but over time, once the way I do it now is another gentleman showed me the way he did it. And that's once he showed me how to do it this way, then I was like, okay, now I see how you can actually train it in a more meaningful way than just letting it learn over time. It can speed it up, you know?
Okay.
So definitely.
Okay.
All right. All right, Nikkia, it's on you. Okay, questions? You just did questions.
Yeah, just making sure if there's any more questions. Yeah. Any more questions? All righty. So I'll go ahead and do the conclusion now. All right. So in conclusion, remember to get to know Copilot so you don't buy the wrong one. That's very important because it can be, some of the Copilots can be a bit expensive. So you want to make sure you get the right one that will work for you, and then not waste money on something you don't need. Remember the things that I was talking to you about to consider. I would really get the slides if you can. They'll be, I think, if you reach out to us, we can give you the slides. And also, if you looked at the video last month, there's a slide deck in there as well, the QR code for it. And remember to train your Copilot, especially if you wanted to get it to do things a bit faster or understand you quicker. Actually train it like you would train a child. Train your Copilot to understand you, as well as your team and your company. All right, so we got one promo we'll just talk about. We have our small business and startup and nonprofit package. So if you or someone you know has a small business and they're using Microsoft Office 365 or they want to use it, these are our small business packages that allow for helping from everything from developing actual solutions through Office 365 and SharePoint and Teams, using Power Platform and such, giving you training, office hours, as well as support desk hours. So there is our package for that. And we did our questions already. So if you like this Power Hour, hopefully we'll see you next month. There's the QR code on the slide for you to join us next month, or just go back to that same Alignable page and you'll see should see our next ones to register. If you'd like a copy of the slides, you can reach out to us at that email address, hello@consultntctech.com. If you'd like to schedule time to meet with us, there's our QR code for that. And you can visit us on LinkedIn and or suggest topics if you want to see something next. For our next topic, we should be going a little bit deeper in Copilot, showing some more things in Copilot. So hopefully we see you all there. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank
See
you,
ya.
everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.